I never thought the words, "I love you," could be a lie someone rehearses in front of a mirror every morning for 3 years straight. My name's Oscar, and I'm 34 years old. I worked, as a project manager for a tech startup in Austin, Texas. My wife Laura is a dental hygienist. At least, that's what I thought defined us. Turns out, I didn't know the first thing about the woman sleeping next to me every night. We met at a friend's barbecue 7 years ago. She had this infectious laugh that made everyone in the room turn and smile. Within 6 months, we were engaged. Within a year, married. Everyone said we moved too fast, but I thought I'd found my person. The one who'd stand by me through thick and thin. Funny how wrong you can be about someone. October 15th started like any other Tuesday. I woke up, kissed Laura goodbye, and headed to the office. By noon, my boss called me into his office with that look, the one that says your life's about to change, and not in a good way. Budget cuts. Restructuring. The usual corporate speak for you're fired. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes, just staring at the steering wheel. 10 years of loyalty, gone in a 10-minute conversation. I needed to see Laura. I needed her to tell me everything would be okay, that we'd figure it out together. I drove home in a daze, arriving around 2 in the afternoon, hours earlier than usual. The house was quiet when I walked in. I assumed Laura was still at work. Then I heard her voice coming from our bedroom upstairs. She was laughing. Not just a small chuckle, but that full-bodied laugh I'd fallen in love with. Maybe she was watching something funny on her phone, I thought. God, I was naive. I climbed the stairs slowly, not wanting to startle her. The bedroom door was slightly open. Laura sat on our bed, phone pressed to her ear, painting her toenails a bright red. "No, seriously, Vanessa, you should have seen his face this morning," she said between giggles. "He has no idea what's coming. I've been waiting for this moment for so long." I stopped breathing. Who is she talking about? "The job thing is perfect timing, honestly," Laura continued. "I've been looking for an exit strategy, and him getting laid off is exactly the excuse I needed. I can finally stop pretending." My hand gripped the doorframe. "Pretending what?" 3 years, Van. 3 years I've been faking it. The loving wife act, the supportive partner thing, even," she lowered her voice, "even in bed. God, every single time I had to close my eyes and think about someone else just to get through it." The floor beneath me felt like it was dissolving. This couldn't be real. This had to be some twisted joke. "He called me half an hour ago crying about losing his job," Laura said, examining her nails. "I actually had to cover my mouth, so he wouldn't hear me laughing. Like, finally. Now I don't have to feel guilty about leaving. He's useless to me now anyway." Vanessa must have said something, because Laura laughed again, that same laugh I'd cherished for 7 years, now sounding like broken glass in my ears. "Speaking of which," Laura continued, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, "Marcus is coming over Thursday night. Oscar has that conference in Houston, remember? We'll have the whole house to ourselves." Again, my blood turned to ice. Marcus? Our neighbor Marcus? The guy who helped me install our backyard fence last summer? The one who'd come to our 4th of July barbecue with his wife and kids? I know, Laura was saying. "But Sarah's visiting her sister that weekend, so it's perfect. God, I can't wait. Marcus actually knows what he's doing, you know? Unlike Oscar, who just lies there expecting me to do all the work." I backed away from the door, my legs barely holding me up. This wasn't just about her faking love. This wasn't just about her lying about our marriage. She was cheating on me. With our neighbor. In our bed. My mind flashed back through the past year. All those evenings Marcus had stopped by to borrow tools. The times Laura had insisted we invite him and Sarah over for dinner. The way she'd volunteered to watch their kids when Sarah was out of town, which meant Marcus had been alone in his house. Or had he? How many times had she been with him? How long had this been going on? I quietly walked back downstairs, slipped out the front door, and sat in my car. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But beneath the shock and pain, something else was building: rage. Cold, calculating rage. I drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and started making calls. First, to my buddy Derek, who worked in finance. Then to my attorney cousin Chris. Then to a locksmith. Then to a private investigator named Patricia Foster, who came highly recommended. "I need proof," I told Patricia over the phone. "Video evidence if possible. My wife is having an affair with our neighbor, and she's planning to meet him Thursday night while I'm supposedly at a conference." "Are you actually going to this conference?" Patricia asked. I was. Not anymore. By the time I drove back home 2 hours later, I had a plan. Patricia would install additional hidden cameras in the house, tiny, professional-grade equipment that Laura would never notice. She'd monitor everything Thursday night and provide me with irrefutable evidence. But I wasn't stopping there. Patricia also ran a background check on Laura, which revealed something interesting. She'd done this before. Her first marriage, which she'd barely mentioned to me, had ended because of her infidelity. She'd cheated on her ex-husband multiple times before finally leaving him. I'd been the next victim in a pattern I hadn't even known existed. Laura was in the kitchen making dinner when I walked in, acting like nothing had happened. She even smiled at me, that practiced, perfect smile. "Hey baby, how was your day?" she asked, stirring something on the stove. I almost laughed at the audacity. Instead, I played along. "Rough," I said, setting my keys down. "Really rough. Got laid off today." Her eyes widened, and for a split second, I saw something flicker across her face. Excitement, maybe? Relief? Then she rearranged her features into concern. "Oh my God, Oscar, I'm so sorry." She walked over and hugged me. I stood there stiffly, feeling her arms around me and knowing that she felt nothing, that she'd been in another man's arms, that she'd betrayed me in the worst possible way. "We'll figure it out," she whispered into my shoulder. Together. Right. Thursday morning, I made a big show of packing for my conference in Houston. I kissed Laura goodbye, loaded my suitcase into the car, and drove away. Then I circled back and checked into a hotel 5 miles from our house under Derek's name. Patricia had already installed the cameras the night before while Laura was at her weekly yoga class. Another lie, probably. At 7 p.m., I sat in that hotel room watching a live feed on my laptop. Laura was showering, taking her time, clearly preparing for something. She put on new lingerie I'd never seen before, red lace that she definitely hadn't worn for me. She fixed her hair, applied makeup, and sprayed the perfume I'd bought her for Christmas. The doorbell rang at 7:45. I watched Marcus walk into my house carrying a bottle of wine. He kissed Laura in my foyer, not a friendly peck, but a deep, passionate kiss that made my stomach turn. His hands were all over her, and she was laughing, pulling him toward the stairs. Patricia was recording everything from 3 different angles. Every touch, every kiss, every word. They went to my bedroom, to the bed I slept in every night, and what I watched next made me want to put my fist through the laptop screen. But I didn't. I sat there, forcing myself to watch, forcing myself to feel every ounce of betrayal, so I'd never forget why I was doing what came next. I needed to see it all, to understand the full scope of her deception. When they finished, they lay in my bed talking. And that's when Laura said something that made even Patricia, listening through her earpiece, gasp. "I can't wait until the divorce is final," Laura said, running her finger down Marcus's chest. "Then we won't have to sneak around anymore." "What about Sarah?" Marcus asked. "What about her? You said you were leaving her anyway, once your promotion comes through. We can be together properly then." Marcus laughed. "You really think I'm leaving my wife?" "Laura, this is fun, but you're not exactly wife material. I mean, you're cheating on Oscar. What makes you think you wouldn't cheat on me?" The silence that followed was deafening. I could see Laura's face on the camera, the shock and hurt registering there. The realization that she'd been played just as thoroughly as she'd been playing me. "You're serious," she finally said. "Come on, don't be like that," Marcus said, pulling her closer. "Let's just enjoy what we have. No strings, no complications." Laura pushed him away and sat up. "Get out. Don't be dramatic." I said, "Get out." She grabbed his clothes and threw them at him. "You told me you loved me. You said we'd be together." Marcus got dressed slowly, shaking his head. "I said what you wanted to hear, Laura. Same as you've been doing with Oscar. Don't act all wounded now." He left, and Laura sat on my bed crying. Not because she felt guilty about betraying me, but because her affair partner had rejected her. I turned off the laptop and sat in the silence of that hotel room. Part of me felt vindicated. She'd gotten a taste of her own medicine. But mostly I just felt empty. Friday morning, I came home with my suitcase, acting like I'd just returned from Houston. Laura was in the kitchen, looking tired and stressed. "How was the conference?" she asked without much enthusiasm. "Productive," I said. "Very productive." Over the next week, I let Laura think everything was normal while I prepared. Patricia compiled all the footage into a comprehensive file. My attorney cousin reviewed everything and assured me this was exactly what we needed. But I added one more element to my plan. I invited Marcus and Sarah over for dinner the following Saturday. Laura looked panicked when I suggested it, but she couldn't refuse without raising suspicion. That Saturday evening, Sarah and Marcus arrived at 6. Sarah was a sweet woman, a kindergarten teacher who clearly adored her husband and had no idea what kind of man he really was. We had drinks in the living room first. Small talk. Weather. Work. The usual. Then I stood up and connected my laptop to our TV. Before dinner, I wanted to show everyone something, I said. Laura, you might find this particularly interesting. I hit play. The screen filled with footage of Laura on the phone, laughing about how she'd been faking our entire marriage. Her voice filled the room. 3 years I've been faking it, even in bed. Sarah's face went white. Marcus tried to stand up, but I'd positioned myself between him and the door. Wait, there's more, I said calmly. The video switched to Thursday night. Laura and Marcus kissing in my foyer. Walking upstairs. Everything. Sarah made a sound like a wounded animal. She turned to Marcus, tears streaming down her face. You said you were working late. You said. Sarah, I can explain. Marcus started, but she was already running for the door. Marcus chased after her. We heard their car start and speed away. Laura sat frozen on the couch, her face the color of chalk. How could you? She whispered. I laughed, actually laughed. How could I? That's rich, Laura. That's really rich. You had no right to humiliate me like that. I had every right. My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. You cheated on me. In our bed. With our neighbor. While lying about our entire marriage. And you think I'm the one who should feel bad. She started crying then, but I was done. So completely done. Pack your things, I said. You have until tomorrow morning. After that, the locks get changed. That night, I slept in the guest room while Laura packed. I could hear her crying through the wall, making phone calls that no one seemed to answer. Her mother. Her sister. Vanessa. Even Marcus, probably. No one wanted to talk to her. The next morning, she left. Drove away in her car, which I'd graciously allowed her to keep, with her belongings crammed in the back seat and trunk. The divorce proceedings were brutal for her. The videos made everything open and shut. She tried to claim I'd violated her privacy, but my attorneys shut that down quickly. She tried to say the footage was edited or manipulated, but the timestamps and metadata proved otherwise. Marcus's marriage imploded too. Sarah filed for divorce within a week, taking their kids and moving back to her parents' place in San Antonio. I sent her copies of the footage, which her attorney used to secure full custody and a very favorable settlement. Meanwhile, Patricia's background check revealed even more. Laura had been cheating throughout our entire marriage, not just with Marcus. There'd been a co-worker at the dental office, a personal trainer at her gym, even a guy she'd met at one of her yoga classes. I'd been faithful, devoted, completely committed, and she'd been treating our marriage like a joke the entire time. The video of that Saturday dinner spread through our neighborhood like wildfire. I didn't post it publicly, but Sarah had sent it to several friends, and from there it went everywhere. Within a month, Laura's reputation was destroyed. Her job at the dental office quietly let her go. Apparently several patients requested different hygienists after hearing what kind of person she was. Marcus lost his promotion, and eventually his job too. Turns out his company had a morality clause in their contracts, and his behavior violated it. 6 months after Laura moved out, the divorce was finalized. She got almost nothing, just her personal items and about 15% of our shared assets. The judge took a dim view of her infidelity and her admitted fraud regarding our marriage. I kept the house, kept the savings, kept my dignity. A year later, I ran into Vanessa at a coffee shop. She approached me hesitantly. Oscar, I need to apologize, she said. I knew Laura was unhappy, but I had no idea about the cheating. I would never have encouraged her if I'd known the full truth. She told me you two had just grown apart. I nodded. She's good at lying. For what it's worth, she's miserable now. Living with her mom, can't find a job, everyone knows what she did. I haven't talked to her in months. She burned every bridge she had. I didn't feel satisfaction hearing that. Just a dull ache for all the wasted time. I hope you're doing better, Vanessa said. I am, I told her. And I meant it. Because here's what I learned. Betrayal doesn't just hurt in the moment. It rewrites your entire history. Every happy memory gets tainted with the question, was she faking then too? Every moment of intimacy becomes suspect. Every I love you turns hollow. But it also teaches you what real love looks like, and what it doesn't. Real love doesn't lie. It doesn't sneak around. It doesn't pretend. 2 years after the divorce, I'm genuinely happy. I rebuilt my life exactly how I wanted it. Started my own consulting business that's thriving. Bought a new house with no bad memories attached. And yes, I'm dating someone, Rebecca, a veterinarian who's honest to a fault and makes me laugh every day. I told her everything about Laura on our third date. Every painful detail. Because I refuse to build another relationship on anything less than complete honesty. As for Laura, last I heard she'd moved to Phoenix, trying to start over where nobody knew her story. I hope she's learned something from all this, but I doubt it. People like her rarely do. Sometimes I think about that moment in the hallway, overhearing her laugh about how useless I'd become. And then I think about where we both ended up. She lost everything, her marriage, her home, her reputation, her friends, her job, her dignity. I lost a liar and gained a life. Rebecca and I got engaged last spring. She knows my whole story, every ugly detail, and she loves me anyway, not despite my past, but including it. We're planning a small wedding next fall, just close friends and family. People who actually care about us, who show up not because they have to, but because they want to. When I proposed, I told her that I'd spent years in a performance masquerading as a marriage, and I promised her that with us, everything would always be real. She smiled and said that's all she'd ever wanted too, someone who showed up honestly, even when it was hard. We're building something real, something solid, something that doesn't require any pretending. And that makes all the pain I went through worthwhile, because I learned exactly what I was looking for, and now I've found it. Thank you for watching the video to the end. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. A playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to is now displayed on the screen. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.